Tanya, and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm back with a special collaboration video that I'm doing with IrrelephantSims here on YouTube. I will put links to her channel and her part of the collab in the description down below if you'd like to check her out, which I highly encourage you to do. She's a very nice person and a super talented builder in The Sims. She's also got a Let's Play going, but most of her channel is builds. She's currently got a Build Around the World series going, which is really cool, and I think she just finished like furnishing or building Magnolia series, which was really cool. But what most people have seen her for is her Decades build series, which was amazing, where she built houses from the various decades from the United States, and it was really good. It's definitely a history lesson. If you're into that kind of thing, I highly suggest go checking those out. But of course, check out her part of the collab. And this collab is really kind of silly, but I'm really excited about it. This is something that I really wanted to do. And I was like, you know what, no matter if I do this on my own or as a collab, I'm gonna do it. But I really wanted to do it as a collab, so I went ahead and I reached out to her, and this is basically creating a haunted house in August. I was like, really wanting the fall to come, and I was like, people do Christmas in July, why can't I do Halloween in August? So I was like, you know what, yeah, we're gonna make spooky haunted houses, and that's really all we went to go on, because we wanted to be surprised by what the other person builds and like how they do it. I originally was thinking I was gonna make something a little bit more cartoon and goofy, like with fake ghosts and stuff. But then I actually started building, and I just made like this creepy abandoned house that totally looks haunted and gross, and I don't know, it's really abandoned, and I really like how it came out. So that was fun. It's not at all what I thought I was going to end up building for this, but that's okay. Sometimes that's just what happens, and it was a lot of fun. So I'm very excited to see what she comes up with as well. If it's more this style, if it's like a really big mansion, if it's more like cartoony and silly, like, because we were just like, haunted house, let's go. I also thought about adding like some jack-o'-lanterns and stuff, thinking maybe it was around Halloween, but I felt like it looked a little too goofy when I did that, and I originally kind of wanted to do that because I just acquired spooky stuff. I bought it like a couple of weeks ago, and I thought it would be a good opportunity to do that. But you know what, that's okay. I still got to make a haunted house in the middle of August instead of waiting until October, because I was like, you know what, I can have Halloween in August if I want. So I'm still really happy about that and really excited. I can't wait until fall actually happens. I live in the northeast of the United States, so fall is gorgeous here, and the weather is really nice, and I'm not much of a summer person, so I'm anxious. I'm really anxious for the cold weather and the apple cider and the horror movies. Oh, it's going to be a really good time, and I can't wait. So thought I'd build this in the meantime. Anyway, we pretty much have the structure of the house now. We're just going to be figuring out like the front door and the windows and all that kind of stuff. It's all on diagonals, which made it like a really funky shape. And I thought it was really fun to work with, a little bit different than things I normally build, because I don't do too much diagonals because they're difficult. And it's loosely based on a photo I found of a creepy old house, but like I completely took my own spin off of it, figured out the back how I wanted it to be, and obviously furnishings are completely my own idea, and I added a little shed in the back, which we'll be adding in a little while, that goes down to a secret basement, and there's lots of these cracks from vampire stuff. That pack is amazing for builders. There is so much cool stuff to make things look old, and yeah, I'm using it kind of in that context of like supernatural or spooky old vampire, whatever. But that works really well in just like rundown apartments and stuff too. I really love those decals that we got with vampires. They're so versatile. But since we are building a spooky haunted house, I guess I should do some like ghost story time. I think that could be kind of fun. I think I might have talked about some of these things in like one of my videos or live streams in the past. I'm not sure. And if you don't believe in ghosts, that's totally fine. You don't you don't have to believe anything I'm saying. I just want to tell some stories of things that have happened in my life, or relatives of mine, things I've heard. I thought it would be appropriate for a Halloween build, even though it's August. So I guess I will start with, recently, like in May, my dad came to visit me, and he talked to me about like how when I was a kid, his dad, came to visit our house, and when I was a kid, I knew there was something funky going on with the house. Like, everyone had like some strange experiences. My parents would talk about it a lot, and they would go like visit cemeteries. They were really into trying to capture pictures of like supernatural entities and ghosts and stuff. They were kind of I guess I never really thought about it, but I guess they were like a little bit of like ghost hunters when I was a kid. That's kind of cool to think about. Maybe it's like, maybe I like really lived the life of being Danny Phantom. That'd be cool. Anyway, I guess like his dad was really religious. His dad passed away when I was like 8 maybe, so this was a long time ago. I guess he came over once and he refused to ever come back. He was alone at the house for like 30 minutes, and when my parents got home, he was sitting out on the front porch and he refused to go back into the house, and he never came over again for the rest of his life, which is pretty crazy. And I know that's not really a ghost story, but that just goes to tell that like a lot of people have had experiences in that house, and it's really interesting to me as to like what happened. And I wish I knew, but nobody will ever know what happened, what he saw, what made it so he doesn't ever want to come to the house again. And I don't live in that house anymore, so I wonder if the people that live there now have had any experiences. That would be interesting to find out. But to experiences that like have actually happened to me or in that house, the biggest one I didn't experience, but both of my parents did, and our neighbor saw it, and it just kind of freaked my parents out a lot. And one night, my dad was outside. I don't really know what he was doing because I was asleep at the time. I've only heard the story from everyone that saw it. But he was in the driveway, and he was going to go inside to get something out of the garage or go in through the garage. And he walked in, and the garage started closing behind him as he walked in. It's an automatic garage, so that's not too weird. Maybe it was malfunctioning, you know? No big deal. But it was freaking him out, so he ran back out, and every time he went to go back in, as soon as he got in, it started closing. So eventually what he did is he ran into the garage, it started closing, and he pulled the wires out, like, to, like, completely get rid of the automated part of the garage. And it still started closing behind him. He was really freaked out. My mom came out to see it. Our neighbor, whose name was Rosemary, came out to see it. And everyone was just really freaked out. And as a kid, I didn't know that happened. I found that out later on in life when my parents told me about it. And they were really into that kind of stuff, so they weren't just telling me to spook me out, because if they were going to do that, they would have done it when I was a kid, not when I was in my 20s. But that would explain why when I was a kid there was never that little automatic thing for the garage anymore. They got rid of it after that experience, and it really creeped out my neighbor. It was weird. Really, really weird. And then the experience, another one I don't really remember, but it completely involved me. When I was a kid, it wasn't at this house, it was at the house we lived at before that. I guess I was hanging out with my dad. I was like 2, maybe 3. And we lived in like a split level house, so my bedroom was on like the bottom floor and the kitchen was up top. And I was in my bedroom sitting on my bed talking to my dad, and you know, the room was clean, everything was just normal, like everything was in its place, and I was sitting on the bed talking to him. And then he went upstairs to go get his shoes so we could go to the store or something. I don't remember why he was getting his shoes, but he went up to go get his shoes. And when he came back down, I was still sitting in the exact same spot. It had only been like a minute, but every single drawer in the room was open, and all of the clothes had been taken out and piled all around the room. And it had been less than a minute since he had left. And he asked me what happened, and apparently, like, my exact phrasing was, "I don't know, Daddy, I just don't know." And that really freaks me out that happened. And I don't know, it's just scary. And apparently there was a lot more that's happened than that, but that's the main one my parents told me about. And I know I've had some weird experiences too, like growing up and like in high school, for example. I remember there was this weird thing with electricity a couple of times in high school. Like, I'd get a weird feeling like I was being watched while I was walking the dogs in my apartment complex. And like usually pretty soon after that feeling, we'd see that when I would walk by like one of the buildings, the lights would just like burn out as I walked by, and it was really freaky. And that's not that big of a deal. That could be explained any other kind of way. But I had another experience like that in high school. I was sleeping over at my best friend's house, Katie, who you guys might know because she's a moderator for my stream and she's in every stream. And we were sharing her bed because that's all she had, and it was the middle of the night. And it was like 2 or 3 in the morning, And I woke up and suddenly was like, something bad's gonna happen. Like, I can't just sit here and lay here. I can't go back to sleep. Something's awful is gonna happen. And it was like, I need to turn on the light. And I didn't know why, but I knew I couldn't turn on the light. So I was like, Katie, wake up. And she's like, what? And I'm like, you need to turn on the light. She's like, you're closer, you just do it. And I'm like, no, you don't understand, I can't. And she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I don't know, but I can't do it. And so she wouldn't turn on the light, and I was panicking, so I finally decided, you know what, I'm going to turn on the light. I can't do it, but I'm going to do it. And as soon as I touched the lamp, the light bulb blew up. Like, it was pretty crazy. And then she immediately jumped out of bed and was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't listen to you. And, like, we spent, like, hours just walking around outside, like, panicking, not knowing what to do, not what was going on. It was just kind of a scary time. I don't know what happened. It was just scary. And just that whole morning, it felt like we were walking around outside and talking about what was going on and what was happening and freaking out for hours. And it had been like 8 minutes or something by the time we got back in. I don't remember if we went back to sleep after that, but it was a really, really rough time. And actually, going back to my parents, like, doing the whole ghost hunting thing, we do have a bunch of pictures from a graveyard that's haunted in my state, like, well-known haunted, and was actually investigated by, like, the Warrens, if you know who they are, back in the day when they were both still alive. And my parents had pictures from there that had weird orbs show up in the pictures. And also my mom thinks there was something weird. It's a photo I actually own now. It was my dad's, and he passed away like a couple months ago, a month and a half ago now. And I got a bunch of pictures that he had that his niece had sent me. And one of them I was like, Mom, like, there's this photo I have of our house and that we lived in when I was a kid, and it's like horribly distorted in the front. And she's like, yeah, that was another thing that happened. I think it had something to do with our house, there being something wrong with our house, all the experiences, because that happened as I took the photo. Because I thought somebody, like, spilt something on it or scratched it or whatever. But no, it's just horribly distorted, the photo. I mean, that could have just been an error in the photographs. I just thought that was interesting and something to add to this conversation. Or story time. So, anyway, I think that's all the stories I have. Oh, no, I have one at my grandma's house. I'll tell you that one in a second. We haven't talked about this build at all, but you can kind of see what's happening. There's, like, a creepy, like, work potion station upstairs. There's 2 bathrooms. There's this, like, hidden study that's through the bookshelf hidden doorway, which I think is really cool. And there's, like, a painting room upstairs, because I thought that would be nice. You could, of course, convert that into another bedroom and make this a fully functional house. It would be pretty easy to do that, I think. I think we already worked on the basement. If we didn't, it's just going to end up having, like, some chairs and a coffin down there, so maybe a vampire could sleep down there. Nothing too crazy, but working on the study now, and I really like it. But on to our last ghost story of this video. When I was little, I used to go to my grandma's house every weekend. And, well, that's fine and all, right? And my sister would come too, and I'd stay on Friday nights, and on Saturdays we'd spend the day doing whatever, have a fun time. It was great. And my sister would sleep in my grandma's room. My grandma liked to sleep in her chair downstairs when we came over, and I would sleep in the spare bedroom. And so I woke up one morning in the spare bedroom because I heard my grandma and my sister outside the door just discussing that they were going to wake me up. And I'm like, I don't know, 7, 8, 9, something like that. And I'm like, why don't they just wake me up? I'm so confused. So I got up and went over to open the door to be like, why don't you guys just come in here and wake me up? I mean, I'm awake anyway, but, like, why don't you guys come wake me up? And I opened the door, and they weren't there. But, like, some lady, like, with dark hair and, like, a long white gown was out there, and she just ran across the hall into my grandma's room. And I was like, oh my God, what is happening? Like, heart pounding, like, freaking out. And so I, like, ran across following her, and she just kind of, like, ran into the mirror. My grandma has sliding door mirrors. Like, her closets are mirrors, so they're, like, floor to ceiling length mirrors that slide open and close. And she just ran into the closet, the one that was my grandpa's. And so I'm left standing there frozen, freaking out, staring at myself in a mirror. And I was like, oh my God, like what just happened? So freaked out. And I don't know. I went downstairs eventually and I told my grandma and I told my sister about it, and they were like, oh my God. And they actually believed me, because my grandpa said that multiple times he had seen the same lady in the house. And I was like, oh my gosh, thank you. It's not just me. That was like so terrifying. But it was also good to know that I wasn't the only person that had ever seen her. Apparently she appeared in like different ages at different times or whatever, but she was always wearing that long white gown. But sometimes she was old, sometimes she was young. The lady I saw was young. She was, I don't know, looking back on it now, I would think maybe somewhere in her 20s, possibly, with like really long dark brown hair, which to me was pretty normal because me and my sister had long dark brown hair. And it was just really a weird experience. And that house is creepy in general to me, always has been. Family members have had weird experiences. Like, there's a built-in bookshelf in the living room, and at some point in time, one of my aunts was staying there alone waiting for her brother to get home. And the bookshelf that is built into the wall started shaking on its own. It just, I don't understand, because it's part of the wall, how the bookshelf was shaking and the rest of the house wasn't, but it was. Or sometimes the fan will turn on and just violently start going around, and like you can't turn it off. There's nothing you can do about it. I mean, it is an old house and it's kind of creepy, but it makes for some really good stories. And yeah. But anyway, we were finishing up this bathroom here. I know I didn't really talk about the house much, but I thought this was a good opportunity to do some spooky stories. Of course, I don't have any now to talk about in October unless I come across some more spooky stuff before then, which I kind of hope I don't. To be honest, I don't want any more spooky experiences, but if I do, I will definitely tell those in October when we do some more spooky builds, because I definitely want to do that. Or we could just talk about movies or ideas for movies. I could come up with some fun spooky stories. That'd be fun. I like that idea. Let me know what you guys want to see in October, because I don't think I have any more ghost stories of my own. Of course, I'm sure there's ones I haven't thought to tell, because I kept being like, oh yeah, and this one, and forgetting all about that. We're adding some lights around the place to just brighten it up just a little bit here, so that at night it's not too dark. It is, I want it to be dark, but I wanted it to be like, so you can kind of see what's going on. Adding another dead tree back there, because you gotta have a lot of dead trees at a spooky house, right? And a little walkway with a dirt trim around it. But we're coming to the end of the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please check out Irrelephant's half of the collab, link in the description, and also download information is down below as well. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye, everybody.